Welcome back to the Unapologetic MidLife Podcast. I'm your host, Mindy Labazetta, and today we're diving into a topic that I think every one of us has wrestled with at some point: letting go of what no longer serves you. Sometimes reclaiming your power isn't about adding more, it's about releasing what's no longer meant for you. The people, the habits, the old stories, even the parts of ourselves that we've outgrown. So today, I want to have an honest conversation about what it means to truly reclaim your energy, to release the guilt, old expectations, and the patterns that once helped us survive, but now keep us stuck. So, what does reclaiming your power actually mean? Well, when I think about this idea of reclaiming power, I used to think it meant pushing harder, doing more, achieving more. But what I've learned is that real power, the kind that sustains you from freedom from all the shoulds, freedom from doing things because someone else said that's what a good mom or a good wife or a successful woman does. I've spent years of my life following that invisible checklist: the degree, the job, the house, the family, the endless striving to be enough. And for a while, I really believed that that's what life was supposed to look like. That if I just kept checking off all of those boxes, happiness would naturally just show up. But it didn't. And what did show up was exhaustion, resentment, and that quiet voice inside me whispering, whose life are you really living? And that was my wake up call, because reclaiming your power starts with one question: what am I doing out of obligation instead of authenticity? So there's definitely the emotional weight of holding on. And it's not easy to let go, because when who we used to be has kept us safe for so long, and who I was in my well, she was a people pleaser, a yes girl. She never said no to anything. She didn't stay home at all because she was always out doing something. And she's the one who shows up for everyone: friends, family, work, because deep down, I equated being around others with being worthy or valued. And in my 30s, I started realizing that saying yes to everyone often meant saying no to myself. But even then, I didn't know how to stop. My fear was that my worth depended on my actions. If I ceased to do, I would become valueless. And then life handed me a hard reset through illness, through loss, through moments that forced me to look at what really mattered. Now, in my 40s, I've learned that holding on to old versions of yourself takes energy that I value and am selective where it goes. There is value in reflection, but it's okay to leave that in the past and become who we are meant to be. You can't step into who you're meant to be if you're still clinging to who you were. It's like carrying a suitcase full of clothes that don't fit anymore, but you keep lugging it around because maybe one day they'll fit. But that's emotional clutter and holding on to the past. And midlife, well, it's an invitation to unpack it. So let's talk about reorganizing what drains your energy, because awareness is everything. Think about the people you spend time with. How do you feel after being around them? Are you energized? Are you grounded? Are you safe? Or do you feel tense, depleted, and like you need to shrink yourself just to keep the peace? That's your nervous system alarms going off. They're blaring the red signals, and it's signaling what it needs. It is always there to guide us if we are willing to hone in on the signals it is giving us. I used to have serious FOMO. I wanted to be everywhere with everyone all the time. If there was an event, I was going. If someone needed something, I was saying yes. But as I got older, I started to notice something. The peace I felt staying home, resting, engaging in a hobby, journaling, doing something that I wanted to be doing, it was so much more fulfilling than the exhaustion of forcing myself to show up out of obligation to everything. I learned that solitude isn't loneliness, it's sacred, and it's a reset. Learning to enjoy your alone time is truly a superpower. If you're constantly drained and constantly giving to other people and are constantly around other people, maybe it's time to ask, Where am I overgiving? Who am I trying to please? Where do I need to say no? And what would change if I started protecting my peace like it was sacred? Because it is. Time is our most precious commodity that we freely give away and can never get back. Letting go does not always mean cutting people off or burning bridges. That is not what I'm saying. But sometimes it's loosening your grip. Gentle detachment is about loving people and yourself, but enough to let things be what they are. It's saying, I can love you and still create space between us, or I can care about this, but it doesn't have to control me. It's learning that not every fight needs your participation, and not every invitation requires your attendance, and not every opinion deserves a response. That's freedom. If you've been stuck in patterns of overfunctioning, always fixing, rescuing, managing, gentle detachment is a way of returning to yourself. It's saying, I can step back and the world will keep spinning. When you release the illusion of control, you make room for peace. So here's the beautiful part. When you let go, life fills the space with something new. It might not happen overnight. And sometimes there's an uncomfortable pause, that in between space where the old one is gone, but the new hasn't fully arrived. But that space, that's where your power grows roots. I call it radical acceptance. It's when you stop fighting reality and start following it. It's when you say, this isn't what I planned, but maybe it's what I need. Letting go isn't losing. It's trusting that what's meant for you won't require you to chase it. So whether it's a job, a friendship, a role, or even an identity that you have outgrown, remember that you're not walking away from something. You're walking towards the next chapter. And that chapter deserves all your energy, not the scraps left over from what you've already outgrown. I want to leave you with this thought. You are allowed to outgrow people, places, and patterns. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to choose peace, even if it disappoints others. Reclaiming your power isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the noise, the expectations, and the old stories. So take a deep breath and let something go, even if it's just the belief that you have to have it all figured out. Because in that release, that is where you rise. You're listening to the Unapologetic MidLife Podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it, subscribe, or leave a review. And remember, your next chapter begins the moment you choose yourself. Until next time, stay unapologetic. The podcast disclaimer, just a quick reminder. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While I am a licensed mental health professional, this content is not therapy and does not establish a therapeutic relationship. If you're struggling or in need of support, I always encourage you to reach out to your own licensed provider or a qualified professional in your area. Hope to see you soon.